Daring early morning armed robbery in Leh. Buimo prison reveals over 1 million kina in debts. And Agmark announces record volumes in cocoa.
This is National EMTV News with Hope Imaka.
Good evening and thank you for joining us. This is Monday's news. More than 5 men armed with a pump-action shotgun and an M16 escaped with a large sum of money from the Z&H Corporation in Leh after an early morning heist. The men were still inside the store when guards found them and gave chase. 2 of the gang members were captured when they were left behind by the others. Martha Lewis reports from Leh.
Between 5 and 6 a.m. this morning, more than 5 men traveling in this blue 10-seater vehicle. The 10-seater was believed to be hired by the gang. The criminals' first attempts is believed to have failed, but at 6 a.m. they held up Z&H Corporation at the market area. The criminals were inside the store when the security guards encountered them. There, the guards pursued them towards the DCA beachfront. It was here that the armed men fired 4 shots at the guards. One of the shots hit the left side window.
And then 5 times all I should begin that mol suicide na mol na all put him slakara. All I stop all escape lo standby boat blow.
The armed man left the vehicle and got onto a waiting boat. They fired 1 last shot at the guards before escaping. The shot hit the rear door of the vehicle. This is not the first incident that has happened where criminals have used boats to escape after robbing major supermarkets in the city. In November last year, criminals escaped on a boat after robbing Leh's Ramai 18 supermarket. And then again, a fast food outlet at the main wharf area was robbed where criminals escaped on a boat. This incident is also a reminder to the authorities and the business community to assist Leh police with a water policing unit. The lack of capacity and resources is making police work more difficult when it comes to pursuing criminals on boat. Martha Lewis, National EMTV News, Leh.
The government has welcomed the conviction and sentencing of the 2 asylum killers in Manus. Minister for Foreign Affairs Rimbing Pato, in a statement, said PNG's judiciary system has taken its course appropriately. He said the government is keen to see all persons involved in this terrible crime dealt with by law, including those that require extradition from other jurisdiction. This follows the recent sentencing of 2 Papua New Guineans who were found guilty of killing Reza Berati, an Iranian asylum seeker, at the Regional Processing Center in Manus in 2014. The National Court in Manus sentenced the 2 men, Joshua Kulivia and Louis Efi, to 10 years in prison with hard labor. The Buimo Prison Administration says it owes more than 1 million kina to companies supplying rations to prisoners. But this is just one portion of what they owe suppliers. Their water and power still have not been paid, and they expect a hefty bill from Telkom for their outstanding phone bills.
These are turbulent times for the Correctional Service. A recent escape and the killing of 12 prisoners, instability at headquarters, and the prisons are still struggling to get the basics right. Funding to the prisons has been cut back. Buimo Prison has a food ration bill of over 1 million kina, and last week Water PNG threatened to cut off their water supply because they owe them 1.2 million kina. The prison administration is still waiting for confirmation for the construction of a perimeter fence, which, if it had been built earlier, would have prevented the February escape of more than 80 prisoners.
PNG power could be around 1.2 million. Now, Telecom PNG and Mino, sure, but we got some outstanding stuff, so say around 4 to 5 million.
The state of housing remains a major concern. The lack of maintenance is evident everywhere you look, and the prison administration says funding is so centralized they can't even get the small things done. Living conditions for the prison officers are difficult, but it's harder for the prisoners. 700 people live in a prison designed for far less that number, and it is one of the main reasons that has prompted previous escapes. Scott White, National MTV News, Ley.
Port Moresby's water distributor, Edaranu, has announced a temporary lifting of its water rationing exercise as of today after an improvement in levels at the Sirinumu Dam. But the city's residents and Motukoitabu villagers are urged to use water wisely. Edaranu is appealing to business houses and government agencies to pay outstanding bills.
Edaranu says the water rationing exercise carried out since mid last year in Port Moresby is lifted as of today. This means normal water supply will return, but for a duration of 2 months. Managing Director Henry Mokono announced this today, but urged the city's residents and surrounding communities to use water wisely as the dam level is still below the halfway mark.
Our schedule for all the water rationing for the city will now be uplifted as of today. Normal supply will continue. We will try it for the next 2 months and see how the weather pattern goes like. If we keep on having rain and if the dam levels keep on improving, then we will do away with the rationing problem altogether.
This announcement came as a result of rainfall experienced in the last 3 weeks. Water level at the Sirinumu Dam has increased from 98 million cubic meters in the month of March to about 114 million cubic meters at present.
Yeah, and we hope that that this remaining, wet period, it will continue to significantly build up.
The level is still below the halfway mark, and while normal supply is restored for the next 2 months, Edaranu is calling on business houses and government agencies, especially the disciplinary forces, to pay up their outstanding bills.
3 disciplinary forces, defense, police and correctional services, plus villages, settlements that we're rolling out the water programs, water supply programs into our villages, especially the Motukoitabu villages and the settlements in Port Moresby. All up, they owe us up until the 31st of March. It's about 53 million.
Commercial business houses owed Edaranu 6.3 million kina, while residential areas owed 26 million kina. Police, Defense Force and the Correctional Services have over 25 million kina yet to be paid. Quinten Alom, National MTV News.
The 12th Papua New Guinea Music Awards is set to be staged this Saturday in Port Moresby. Some of the country's biggest names in the music industry, like Demasol, will be present on the night to perform and support the younger artists. Also hitting the stage for a one-night-only performance is Morabez Jokema.
A media conference was called today at Lamana Gold Club, the venue of Saturday's Music Awards event. Some of the musicians, nominees and performing artists who will be part of that night were also present.
I'm hoping I can win something. All the artists that are coming, we produced like good songs last year, and they deserve prestigious awards.
Yeah, I feel excited because we come long way. Solo come kasi mlo na. I'm long time. We play with him. We are ready for him too.
For us, the Pro Studio Boys, I think it's our first time to be here, and we are really, it's a privilege for us. And I think in a way what the 93 FM is trying to promote is, for me, I see it as promoting unity in the music industry.
Recognizing the achievements from 2015, there are 16 categories for the 12th Music Awards. This will include Song of the Year, Rookie of the Year, Male Artist of the Year, Female Artist of the Year, Newest Group of the Year, South Pacific Artist of the Year, and Listener's Choice of the Year, among others. No doubt it will be a big night for the artists, but before that, some advice to upcoming musicians and singers.
Big man put it is like destiny blue, so if you try hard enough with all the heart that you can give, you're going to get there someday.
If you want to pick in here, you carry basket blue all the time, after school, you hang in backpack blue and you go back close. A long way me walk, me plateau same. So I'm taking long distance for me kasima. But you don't give up. You believe you still have.
All I can say is just keep on believing in what you want to do.
A huge turnout is expected on the awards night, which will also see Yumi FM's personalities Kake Laravakasti and Papa Henifuka as hosts for the event. Tickets are still on sale for the public at the Lamana Gold Club and the Paradise Cinema Vision City. Deli Waigeno, National, MTV News.
Among stories after the break, landowner concerns on timber permits, cocoa export increase for Agmark, and e-commerce for the SME sector. I'll be back with the details. Welcome back to the news. A forest landowner in the Sohe district of Northern Province says the forest management agreement was not created for Papua New Guineans but to suit foreigners. Resource owner Debege Sumo expressed this following his 19-year struggle to acquire a timber permit. Adelaide Sirox Curry with this report.
Yoma Block 5 has the potential to produce 30,800 cubic meters of log every year. What Debege Sumo says will benefit his people if the timber permit is given. His people have entrusted him with the virgin forest to be logged, but the timber permit cannot be secured.
And then looking back to the policy in relation to FMA conditions, I saw that it was designed for the purpose to invite foreigners to come and participate in the FMA due processes. I told my people the best way is that we get involved.
He says that he has followed all 34 steps that are required to secure a permit. In June 2011, he came close to finally receiving the timber permit when Timothy Bonga was forest minister, but his directives were not followed.
The idea was that we do it ourselves. Why not I cannot do it? Do you want foreigner to do this? I can do it because I have my people. I can do it. You can trust me there. All I'm waiting for is a timber permit.
He says policies and bureaucrats in the forest department are the biggest obstacles, even though after he secured a buyer from China and had legal documents showing the eagerness of investors and buyers, his request for the permit was turned down.
Policy implementers and the legislators, they are my biggest obstacle today. I am a landowner. I want to be like them, those foreigners. Now what difference does it make for me to be the one who can do it? Or do you want a foreigner to do it? I will never allow a foreigner to go and develop Yoma Block 5. My people will not allow it.
Debege even stood for the elections in 2007 just so he could get his timber permit. He will now be meeting with PNG Air on May the 2nd to hopefully finally receive the timber permit. Adelaide Sirox Curry, National, MTV News.
PNG's largest cocoa exporter, Agmark, has recorded the highest cocoa volume for the first time in 8 years. Over 200 metric tons of wet bean cocoa was received from smallholder cocoa farmers over the last 7 days, with more still coming. Agmark says this gives an indication that the battle against the cocoa pod borer infestation in East New Britain province is eventually coming to an end. Edward Fidelis reports from Kokopo.
At the Agmark's cocoa fermentary at Talina, just a few kilometers outside of Kokopo town, vehicles loaded with wet bean cocoa are waiting to be weighed.
Price tu ya macam company bayam good na mikir pin bel bolman lo place.
This warehouse that has been locked for nearly 8 years was reopened last week to create space to cater to the cocoa beans that are coming in abundance.
So for the first time since 2008, we've had to reopen the Stage 2 building to be able to handle the volumes of cocoa that are being delivered.
Since last week, Agmark has recorded a total of 200 kilograms of wet cocoa beans purchased from farmers. That's equivalent to about 1,008 dry bean cocoa bags once it's processed. Its total value, 500,000 kina.
Our daily purchase is still getting higher and higher. And I really expect more to come to continue because we can call it as a mini flash cocoa from that month. But it will continue till June.
Most of these cocoa are coming from smallholder growers who contributed about 60% of the total cocoa production for the province. A kilogram of clean bean is fetching 2 kina, while unclean beans are fetching 1 kina 50 per kilogram. Agmark says the cocoa industry is making a comeback in a big way, and much of this good news has been attributed to the ongoing awareness and cocoa pot borrow management programs by cocoa agencies that have been carried out in villages to encourage farmers not to give up hope in cocoa farming. And since last week, their efforts are slowly paying off.
All stakeholders were the play work promoting cacao. CCI PNG, UNRI, IATP, continue working awareness, now training, improving production.
East New Britain is one of the largest cocoa producing provinces in the country, but the infestation of the cocoa pod disease had downplayed the industry, making it unattractive to farmers, and it pushed the cocoa industry in the province to a grinding halt. This year, its glory days are slowly returning. While the business looked good for smallholder farmers, Agmark says it is also looking at meeting its export demand from overseas cocoa buyers that have not been met in previous years. Edwin Fidelis, National EMTV News, Kokopo.
As Papua New Guinea forges forward into the 21st century, the internet economy is increasingly becoming the next revolution of global trade and commerce. This is why the PNG APEC Business Advisory Council, or APEC, saw the importance of bringing the Ecommerce in SME Summit to PNG. The summit is currently being run alongside the second APEC meeting in Port Moresby.
An impressive turnout at the International Convention Centre today as members of the small to medium enterprise or SME sector attended the e-commerce summit. APEC PNG Ambassador Ivan Pomaleo said e-commerce was important in advancing SMEs to the global value chains. He added it was in line with the recently launched PNG SME policy in advocating the use of ICT in growing and enhancing SMEs. The presentations focused on cross-border e-commerce and its huge success in China, the world's second-largest economy. Diane Wang from APEC China and the founder and chief executive officer of dhgate.com, which is the world's leading online marketplace for wholesale consumer products, said the benefits of cross-border e-commerce were immense. APEC PNG hopes that SMEs in PNG take away from the summit a look at new ways of doing things. APEC said the use of technology at this level can create new value and wealth by marketing PNG's products via e-commerce. Deli Waigeno, National EMTV News.
And now looking at our finance news. The Kina opened unchanged at $0.3185 US in the interbank market. At Bank South Pacific, your Kina was buying $0.3110 US, $0.4006 Australian dollars, 0.2738 euro and 34.45 Japanese yen. Looking at commodity prices at New York close, gold and cocoa closed higher while coffee and copra closed the day lower. Palm oil closed lower while crude oil and copper closed the day higher. And on the stock market, the Dow Jones closed at 21.23 points higher, the ASX closed at 36.3 points lower, and the All Ordinaries closed at 37.2 points lower. National EMTV News continues after the break. Stay tuned. Welcome back. Airline operator PNG Air today commenced its first commercial flight to Arapa Airport in the autonomous region of Bougainville. The first 55 passengers were booked on this first commercial flight out of Port Moresby on the company's third ATR 72-seater aircraft.
PNG Air's first commercial flight on the new ATR aircraft Alpha Tango Bravo flew out of Jackson's Airport, Port Moresby on schedule. According to PNG Air, 55 passengers were the first to book on this flight out of Port Moresby. The new aircraft operated out of Port Moresby to Lae at 9 a.m. and then on to the New Guinea Islands, Hoskins, Rabaul, Buka, then on to Kieta and back to Buka for overnight.
So we feel privileged to be able to bring people here in our new aircraft and then to further start our services down to Europa.
Locals expressed their joy on the new service because this will enable competition among airline operators at much more affordable cost.
Because it gives a significant thought to the process of development on Bougainville, towards the Bougainville Peace Agreement as well.
On Thursday, April 21, PNG Air made its maiden flight to Buka and Europa on the new ATR aircraft. Fabian Hakelitz, National EMTV News.
Christian Democratic Party leader Kelly Naru says the country needs Christian policies that will change people's mindsets to function as a nation. He said appreciating God's plan for humanity will give effect to our lives to collectively progress and prosper. Mr. Naru made this statement at the recent Christian Democratic Party fundraiser in Port Moresby.
Christian Democratic Party leader and Morobe Governor Kelly Naru, speaking at the recent CDP fundraising dinner, said the government has to function in accordance with God's plan to allow service delivery in communities. He said Papua New Guinea is a Christian country and a majority of the population are Christians, and therefore they are duty-bound to give effect to God's will and plans.
Life belongs to the country and people something. You may look somewhere, buy me what them. Christian Democratic Party, I mean, I have a book belong you, long enough, life belong all inside long, life belong you, long bring good person down inside the country.
While highlighting the recent social, political and economic issues affecting the country, he said Christian Democratic Party emphasizes on good Christian leadership principles in politics for the government to run this country. However, Mr. Naru said it is very difficult to apply theoretic principles in a democratic environment where there is money, cargo and other things. This is because people's mindset, leadership and the ability to deliver service is not always compatible as it is supposed to be.
Passing no like him, and no you must like him, no walking straight no passing that gives good service now. All the rest of something come from health, education, infrastructure, all the something walking straight.
He said Christian Democratic Party will be challenging us all to do a serious soul-searching in order to find God's will. Mr. Naru added that there is a leadership problem in this country because we have forgotten to put God first in our lives. However, he was disappointed with the 55 million kina cut from church health facilities throughout the country.
We have to appreciate God's plan for humanity and we have to give effect to God's will in our life for us to progress and prosper, and collectively we progress and prosper as a nation.
Despite the budget cuts in mission-run health facilities, Morobe will still allocate 1/10 of its budget to churches as part of its commitment to God. The Christian Democratic Party emphasizes Christian principles and values.
So the emphasis we have here is to do right, think right, live right. And that's the essence of our gathering here tonight.
Eric Arupma, National EMTV News.
Papua New Guinea's chief radiologist, Dr. Dora Cattell, has cleared the air on the CT scan installed at the Buka General Hospital. One issue raised is that Buka is not ready to utilize a CT scan. However, now with the specialist on the ground, the life-saving equipment can be used to perform operations. Fabian Hakelitz reports.
Dr. Cattell told EMTV News that the CT scan installed at the Buka General Hospital will save time and cost for the people of Bougainville, including those from other provinces who want to access this service.
Now thinking back and looking back retrospectively,
I think it's good they had the city installed, because it does not only serve Buka people. Even the New Guinea Islands, then East New Britain people don't have to fly all the way to here. They can just have a CT scan done there.
Dr. Cartel says that the images are a great help to doctors.
May not be able to, interpret all the bits and pieces of a CT scan, but the general thing, if they're able to see a pathology, all right, maybe they won't be able to say exactly what it is, all right, but they see a problem, they can open up. If they can't open up, then they refer to a more, facility which can accommodate the complexity of the surgery.
The National Health Department is working on a program for radiologists to interpret complex images at the CT scan of Buka General Hospital so doctors have some diagnosis. Fabian Hakelitz, National EMTV News.
People living in Holo village in the Juaka province now have an improved health facility. Last week saw the official opening of the project for improvement of Holo aid post funded by the government of Japan through its grant assistance for grassroots human security projects, or GGP. Among basic health services, the upgraded aid post now features a new labor ward wing that will benefit 7,000 people living in the area. Japan provided 250,000 kina to upgrade the aid post in January 2014. Japan Ambassador to PNG, Morio Matsumoto, who was a guest of honor, says the delivery of basic health services plays a vital role in the development in this country. Now heading overseas, clashes erupted in the European nation of Moldova after thousands of demonstrators gathered to protest against corruption in the country's political crisis. Since September 2015, thousands have regularly turned up to protest the disappearance of $1 billion from banks in Moldova.
Around 1,000 demonstrators scuffled with Moldovan riot police yesterday in long-running anti-government protests and threatened to storm buildings owned by prominent businessman Vladimir Plahotniuc in central Chisinau. Hundreds of police carrying batons and protective shields formed a barrier between Plahotniuc's house and the crowd, who was shouting "Down with the mafia" and "Power to the people." A similar standoff took place nearby, with crowds throwing stones, sticks, eggs and bottles at police who were protecting a business center owned by Plahotniuc. The disappearance of $1 billion from Moldovan banks has led to widespread disenchantment with the ex-Soviet state's political and business leaders. Insiders say the banking fraud, a steady loss of the equivalent of 1/8 of Moldova's gross domestic product in unsupported loans over several years, reflects deep-seated corruption. The appointment of a new prime minister in January with close ties to Vladimir Plahotniuc, one of Moldova's richest men, has angered opposition lawmakers and citizens who want a snap parliamentary election. The demonstration was an offshoot of a larger protest where 7,000 gathered around government buildings yesterday. One of the leaders of the protest, Inga Gregoriu, called on demonstrators to rally again this morning with the aim of disrupting the government's work. A decision in March to allow the next president to be chosen in national elections rather than a vote in parliament failed to appease protesters. Lorraine Gabina, National EMTV News.
A solar-powered plane completed its 9th leg flying non-stop day and night when it landed in North California over the weekend. This is the first aircraft to fly on solar energy alone.
The Solar Impulse 2 arrived in Moffett Airfield in Northern California just before midnight Pacific time after having flown 3 days from Hawaii where it departed. The pilot who'd flown the experimental solar plane described the thrill of his experience as something out of this world and a miracle of technology.
At every moment of the flight I was thinking I'm so privileged to be able to fly that plane. And more than all, to fly that plane in this type of world.
The solar aircraft began its journey around the world in March 2015 from Abu Dhabi, passing through Oman, Myanmar, China and Japan. Melissi Gaviro, EMTV World News.
Trukai Sports next. Nelson Stone and a host of PNG swimmers prepare for Rio. That's after the break.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome to Trukai Sports. Papua New Guinea's current record holder for the 200-meter and Pacific Games gold medalist, Nelson Stone, now sets sight for Rio Olympics with confidences to set standard. However, Stone's currently focused on the 78th Singapore Open Track and Field Championship, which will be held from the 28th to the 29th of this month at the Singapore Sports Hub.
Stone is currently based in Brisbane, undergoing his training and preparation for the Olympics. He is in the country at the moment to spend some quality time with his family. Meanwhile, in preparation for the Olympic Games, Nelson Stone has succumbed to a minor injury that he's been nursing for a few months, but has made swift recovery and is back into training.
Minor injuries with my knee, and also some medical conditions around my knee area, both legs. We've worked on it for the past 2.5 months. I've been suffering from that, but I think 4 to 5 weeks ago I recovered, and I'm back in training now. I'm fully recovered, and yeah.
His current focus is now the Singapore Open. This will be Nelson's first race since Pacific Games. Back from injury, Stone admits he is anxious to get back on track.
A good platform to come out and prove that I can do what I do best.
Though the Singapore competition may be a daunting challenge for many athletes, as some of the world's best will be competing, but for Stone, he is not a stranger at this competition, having won the 400-meter event back in 2011.
And that's going to be my first real competition coming back from injury, and the Singapore Open is a world event also. It's a big one. But I've won that event, the Singapore Open in the 400 meters.
Stone will be joined by his two countrymen, hurdle specialist Moen Buimo and rising star Teo Piniao at the Singapore Open, where the three men will contest for a spot at the Olympics.
Open is going to be a testing time for me. I know Teo Piniao, the next in line with me, he's in America. He's doing really well, and also with the great man Moen Buimo. Yeah. But life's all about challenges, and the three of us are fighting for one spot, and I'm going to do everything I can to get to where I want to be.
Nelson departs PNG to Singapore early tomorrow, while Teo Piniao and Moen Buimo will fly into Singapore from USA. Shane Saroya, National EMTV Sports.
South Australian Brad Moles has won the South Pacific Export Radler PNG Open following a 2-hole playoff against Aaron Wilkin and Anthony Quayle. Moles, who led after the first day, fired 5 under 67 in the final round to be the clubhouse leader on 11 under the card.
Playing the par 3 18th hole sudden death, Anthony Quayle was the first to bow out, leaving Brad Moles and Aaron Wilkin to go head-to-head on the second time down the stretch. It was his birdie on the second playoff hole that Moles claimed victory. While Moles is already considering his next move onto an overseas tour, he says he will definitely be back to Papua New Guinea. Aaron Wilkin and amateur Anthony Quayle shared runner-up honors, while Mitchell Brown finished a shot outside the playoff and outright fourth. Queenslanders Michael Wright and Damon Jordan finished in a share of 5th place on 9 under the card, with Daniel Fox and Peter Martin a short further back again. Rounding out the top 10 on 7 under 281 were Christopher Muak and Tom Bond.
Very eager to win his first tournament, but just behind him you've got Mitchell Brown, and Mitch is a proven winner. He won the New Zealand PGA Championship back in 2010. So look, over those final holes of golf, anything can happen. Some experience can definitely help you. So I think it's really too tough to call at the moment.
The PGA Tour of Australasia will now head to Western Australia for the Nexus Risk TSA Group WA Open to be played at the Western Australia Golf Club from the Thursday to Sunday. Dinero Shriko, National EMTV Sports.
PNG's Golden Fish, Ryan Pinney, says his Rio Olympic preparation has been going well after producing an outstanding effort in the 50-meter fly at the Australian National Swimming Championships, with fellow swimmers Samuel Sagers and Ryan Maskelin are eyeing Rio.
PNG's top swimmers Pinney, Sagers and Maskelin recently returned from the 2016 Hancock Prospecting Australian National Swimming Championships. Pinney said his preparation has been going very well and he's improving his times, which is satisfying.
Going really well. I just recently competed at the Australian National Championships, which is their Olympic trials. I was doing personal best times, which was not expected, but great to be back in that level of competition. I've qualified for 3 events so far, so over the next 3 months we'll be taking a look at those 3 events and seeing whether we'll do them at the Olympics or not, and just focusing on that 100 butterfly time to try and get that time down to what it used to be.
PNG swimmers Pinney, Sam Sagers, Ryan Maskelin and Barbara Valley-Skelton will also be competing in the upcoming Oceania Swimming Championships.
A few days just to catch up on a few things, and then back down for some intense training before Oceania Championships is something that we're aiming for, and then after that it's head down for Olympics.
For a young swimmer who is seen bound to succeed Ryan Pinney, the Olympics may well be the event.
Australian Nationals, we even got 0.6 of a second quicker than we even got to SP Games, so big blood PB and qualifying time to go to Olympics. So it's a bit outside, so I'll confirm him until June, July. But yeah, all got that times on me improved now, so a good plan.
There is still room for improvements for our swimmers, and attending events like the Oceania Championships will be a chance for them to improve their speed. Shane Saroya, National EMTV Sports.
In Super Rugby, the Anzac Day weekend saw a couple of unexpected defeats, with the Highlanders losing to the Sharks by 1 point. 15-14, the Hurricanes suffer against the Chiefs, also by 1 point, and the Waratahs soaring to victory against the Force in Penrith, while season debutants Sunwolves defeated Argentinian franchise Jaguars 36-14 in Tokyo, Japan.
Both teams have gone with 8 losses in their first ever Super Rugby seasons. As debutants, both were hungry for a win, but with the backing of a home crowd and the demand to impress fans, Japan's Sunwolves soared to victory.
Jamie Nutt Brown can't see the ball on the ground, wants to have a look.
It was a tight tussle, as both the lead changed several times up until the final quarter.
The pass, and then let it go to Fuente. Long ball for Amorosino down the left wing. Beautifully worked try by the Jaguares.
The Argentinian franchise, which boasts 13 of the Argentina side that reached last year's Rugby World Cup semi-finals, took lead in the first half with a number of set pieces, placing them ahead of the Wolves at half-time by 13 points to 8.
Close out the half, 18 points to 13. It has been a very entertaining half.
Captain Augustin Creevy, Lucas Gonzalez Amorosino and Emiliano Boffelli all contributed 5 points each, but 5'8" Hernandez's poor form on the boot proved far too costly for the newcomers, as the Sunwolves crashed their hope of a victory with a scoreline of 36-28 by the 80th minute. While the Jaguars walk away with yet another heavy loss, they have secured bonus points from their 4 victorious tries. Next week, they return home to Argentina and will host the Southern Kings, who are currently at the bottom of the ladder, while the Sunwolves will have the week off to regroup for the next encounter against the Western Force in Tokyo.
Unbelievable game of footy.
Jeremy Moggy, National EMTV Sports.
Boxing and Rugby League next. That's after the break.
Trukai Sports.
Welcome back to Trukai Sports. Papua New Guinea's 28-year-old professional boxer Douglas Wallo is aiming to introduce boxing to youths in one of Lae's notorious settlements, West Taraka. He aims to help West Taraka youths keep away from illegal activities and lure them into a boxing career.
From a mixed parentage of Morobe and Gulf, the young boxer grew up in this neighborhood West Taraka is located on the fringes of the city and is known for its high crime rate. Douglas Wallo wants to become a role model in his community through boxing. He started his boxing career in 2007 when he took part in the 3rd PNG Games where he won his first gold medal.
One blood soul me been winning that PNG Games gold medal without experience. Tosine to select me the PNG squad.
In 2008, he was selected in the PNG squad and soon after he underwent a 5-year training program before he started fighting as a professional. He had won 2 professional belts during his sporting career. Wallo returned to his community after his loss to his Filipino component in Port Moresby in 2012 and started the West Taraka Boxing Club early this month to help the younger generation keep away from illegal activities as well as develop their interest in boxing.
Leader of the community now, I know young people today will keep away from steam, drug, no kind of activity, no good blow.
More than 40 youths have joined the club. The participants were delighted to learn boxing not only as a sporting career, but for self-defense, especially for young girls.
Stop natin na bano na bastante mi mas gona future mi can come the boxing champion. Number 1, self-defense. Okay, lo narab the side to some future time lo me like lo come up like boxing.
West Taraka Boxing Club is like many other sporting clubs that needs financial backing. Wallo started off training these youths at the back of his house with 2 hand pads. He needs a proper gym and boxing ring to train the upcoming fighters. He is calling on business houses and the Moldova provincial government to help him make a change in West Taraka. Mata Luis, National EMTV Sports, Ley.
PNG Hunters halfback Ase Boas says he has drastically improved over the past few years in his playing style as halfback. This year, he was lucky enough to have his younger brother, Watson, join him in the Hunters team.
Ase says having his little brother join the team and playing alongside him is what's helping him to become a better player.
Yeah, it's been a more motivating factor for me too, having a small brother back in me, happy and playing alongside me, at least I'm to set another pace to him to follow. So yeah, we have to make a history to playing alongside with my own blood. Yeah.
Ase has improved in his style of playing over the years and says this year he is able to read plays and is more alert during a match.
Like we can look him get more play, I can put plays here more comfortable. Last year was just like me just force him, that's all. But this year I can see that I can play more comfortable than like last year. Most of the fullbacks, like most of the NRL or Q Cup fullbacks, they always drop back deep. So that's what gives me an idea that whenever I see them drop back deep, I used to put short kicks. They're just at the back, so more spaces together and even chances to get back the ball. Yeah.
Every rugby league player in Papua New Guinea has dreams and goals to one day play in the NRL and put on the red, black and gold jersey. With the upcoming Pacific Test match between the PNG Kumals and the Fiji Batis on the 7th of May 2016, Boas is hoping to get selected into the Kumals.
My aim for this year to be in that squad again and at least make PNG proud to beat Fiji this year.
The Kumals team for the Pacific Test will be announced later this week. Elijah Lavet, National EMTV Sports.
True Kai Sports ends there. I'll be back after these short messages.
True Kai Sports. True Kai Sports.
Welcome back, and that's the way it is this Monday, the 25th of April 2016. Unfortunately, the weather for today was not supplied by the Weather Office, but here's tonight's headlines again. Daring early morning armed robbery in Ley, Buimo prison reveals over 1 million kina in debts, and Agmark announces record volumes in cocoa. And that's the news and sports for tonight, Monday, the 25th of April 2016. On behalf of the entire news team, I'm Hope Imaka. Pleasant viewing. Good night.